Welcome everybody to our Thursday, March 25th, our evening question and answer, question and discussion with our Venerable Khenpo Tenzin. We will begin our practice with opening prayers in our yellow Garchen Buddhist Institute prayer book on page 1. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to Bodhichita and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to Bodhichita for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to Bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to Bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to Bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to Bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. my body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine, by offering them all may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratishta Swaha. Namo. To the Guru, the utter purity of all appearance and existence, I offer all appearance and existence arisen as the primordial ground. I supplicate you, may the three realms be completely liberated. Please grant blessings to empty samsara from its depths. Lord, with 5 omniscient wisdoms, crown ornament, kind one with loving nature, precious protector of beings, heart of all Buddhas, inexpressible by words or thought, I supplicate you from the core of my mind. Bless me from within the state of Dharmata. Bless me to realize this mind, primordially pure and unborn as the unfathomable Dharmakaya. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both, according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. So I will start my question first, and then we will ask question one by one. So my question is, have you ever taken Bodhichita vow? And why? Have you ever taken Bodhichita vow? And why? So who will start? Yes, yeah.
So, a formal Bodhichita vow, I don't know. I took the Bodhisattva vow and the Refuge vow.
Yes. Why? For what reason?
Let's see. So the Refuge vow I took because I had experienced seeing changes, seeing the mind change. And so I actually had tested some things and saw change. So that's why I took the Refuge vow. And I also took the Refuge vow because I had been with a Pure Land group and had observed how they conducted themselves both during the ceremonies or during the services, and then also not during when their Sangha met. And it automatically came to me one time when I was having difficulty to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. So it just arose naturally after that. And so that's why I took the Refuge vow. The Bodhisattva vow, I took it because I had I had been labeled as sensitive, as overly sensitive
Mm-hmm.
as a child,
Mm-hmm.
and had been when I became a professional, had a professional career.
Mm-hmm.
I was mentored to not to think more of myself
Mm-hmm.
and not and so my natural inclination was to think of others.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was easy to take the Bodhisattva vow.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I had a consult with Garshan Rinpoche,
Uh-huh.
one of the things he said was, I still had too much self.
Oh.
So that was pretty funny.
Thank you.
So maybe I need the Bodhichita.
Yes, after you have done vows, then actually we all have the nature of Bodhichita, and it's yeah, we have to grow that in our mind. Actually, our Bodhichita is always remain in our mind. Thank you very much. Very nice. And the next, shall I repeat question? Maybe everybody heard, right?
Yeah, I'll go next. And can I ask something?
Uh,
Is that okay?
can you repeat?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, please.
Thank you. I hope the sound's okay. Sorry, I sometimes have a really loud voice, so I'm really sorry if that's coming across. But yeah, no, I'm not sure which one the Bodhichita vow is. So I've heard of the Refuge vows and other vows, but which one is the Bodhichita vow?
Can you hear clearly? Oh, I see. Bodhichita vow is actually your commitment that you will benefit to mother sentient beings as much as possible, and you will not harm to mother sentient beings as much as possible. This is the actually you will not harm. Your commitment that you will not harm to mother sentient beings if you can't help them. If you can help them, you will help. You will benefit to them. But if you can't, still you will not harm to them. This is the Bodhichita vow.
And is that a vow that we take for the lifetime, or is it the one that we're just like saying in a prayer every day? Because I'm similar in the respect that I've taken some vows, and some I remember and I know which ones they are, and then other ones I probably don't know what they're called.
Can you repeat? Oh, oh, I see. Uh-huh. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. Uh-huh. Yes, Golly, you raise your hand, right?
Yes, Kambula, is the Bodhicitta vow the same as the Bodhisattva vow?
It is same, yes.
About the same.
Yes.
So So yeah, so Ella was wondering if the Bodhisattva vow is a vow that we take, or the Bodhichita vow is a vow we take formally, like in a group with a master, or if it's something that you just read
Oh
on
yeah,
your own.
yes. The first, the every vows, the take from masters is this is the traditionally we take these vows from master, and then Bodhichita vow and Mahayana, these Sobjong vows, they we second, and then the other the rest of their practice, when we well practice these vows, we can take from tankas or statues or something like yeah, especially which some are already consecrated, we can take from there too.
So as Gully said, it's the same as Bodhisattva vow, is it?
Yes, Bodhisattva vow and Bodhichita vow is actually, uh, I think it is same, but what I understand is Bodhisattva means person who practice Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is a person who practice love. This love is not this regular love. This love is the spiritual love. It has two: relative love and ultimate love. So the through this way I answered. So my understanding is Bodhisattva means person who practice or who has a vow of Bodhicitta. Then we call it Bodhisattva. Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
That's really
Oh, sorry.
helpful. Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat? Oh, thank you. Sorry, sometimes I can't hear well. Yes, Jay.
So the three vows that are taken every day to not harm, to benefit, and to generate bodhicitta.
Oh, yes. This when since after you received that vow, best thing is at least two or one or three times, one time or three times, day or night. You remember this, and you recite that. So this is actually we call the generation or aspiration bodhicitta when you arise from your mind. So this is excellent. And just in case, once a week or once a month, if you take this again, this is excellent. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next, who will answer my question? Yes, Eleanor, can you your I can't hear you because yes.
I was muted. I've taken refuge, but I've never taken a formal bodhicitta or a bodhisattva vow. But my question about that is, what about the prayer we say all the time, taking the bodhicitta vow?
This is
I attain the heart of enlightenment. I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. That one.
Oh, yeah. This is you can do that. That's absolutely same. But we have particularly a prayer when you take the vow. But that part is in the text. Probably right now you don't have, so I can't read it in English. So I will read that in English next time. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Okay. If you don't have ever take the Bodhichita vow, then of course you don't want to answer. But then you can share your experience, or you can ask your own question. Yes, Helena.
I do have a question about your lectures from last time. It got me to thinking about the my question is, what's the relationship between devotion and discipline?
Oh, yes.
Could you say some stuff about that?
Yes, the first devotion is devotion means faith. Faith, Faith, I think. Faith in Buddha, in Dharma, in Sangha, or to Guru, or some these karma. Karma means cause and effects. The devotion means, especially I think devotion means you think like that. Okay, if I ask to solve my problems to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, they will help me to solve, help me to remove these problems. So you should trust in the spiritual path, and you think three jewels, which are Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, they will never betray me. They will never deceive me. If I 100% trust them, they always protect me. And especially if I follow them, like three jewels, they have this power. They have a power to protect me, and they have a power to remove my obstacles, because they already liberated from samsara. That's why they are fight. Three jewels, they are fight to the afflictive emotions and cognitive obscurations, and they are fighting with negative karmas, and then they are one. Negative karmas and afflictive emotions lost. That's why now they have that power. That's why they have, number one, they have power. Number two, they have boundless compassion, boundless bodhichita. That's why they, if you ask, you trust them, then they kind of voluntarily help you. You don't want to pay money. You don't want to say introduce your background and so on. Just they don't look at who are you. Then so that's why they, because of they have a compassion, bodhichita, and then you think, okay, they have power, they have love, bodhichita, and compassion. But then do they have idea, skill to remove my obstacles? Yes, they have omniscience, which means the wisdom, spiritual wisdom. It's a special wisdom. We call it omniscient. So they knows what reason we have for suffering, when we created suffering, and then they know how to remove this suffering. And if they know you have a Buddha nature, they know you are the same like three jewels, same as three jewels. Only thing is right now you are little covered by the afflictive emotions, but they are liberated from that. The only difference is that. That's why. So for that reason, so you trust. If you don't know about they have a power, they have this love, they have omniscient, still you can devote, you can trust them, but this is uncertain, which means sometimes you possible it will lost. That's why often these masters say you should start. If you started very well, then you don't want to listen other people saying. You can think by yourself, and you can notice, oh, this is really, three jewels are really my protector because of this, because of that. You notice, and then you progress that way. Then finally you noticed, oh, you are the same as three jewels. Only thing is that everything you are clear. Anyhow, that part is devotion. Devotion means you trust. And then discipline means there are many kind of discipline. For instance, when you pray refuge prayer, you recite refuge prayer, and at that time, for instance, here we have until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Example, when you recite, your discipline is you recite from your mouth. This is a physical discipline. You recite, how to say, clearly, louder or the quietly. That is your choice. But you recite clearly, and then your mind come with your recitation. When you recite this part, but your mind is, for example, you recite until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Supreme Assembly. If your mind is going to New York or some different countries, Europe's some countries, that means you are not in exactly that this rule. But still you have a benefit, but you are not in the rule. But then if you recite them and one by one, at least you remember Buddha, you remember Dharma, you remember Sangha, and then what says inside, your mind comes with your recitation. This is also discipline. And then there are many kind of discipline. The discipline means that.
Oh, I know. Yes. No, but what's the relationship between devotion and discipline?
Yes. They are the interdependence. Interdependence means support each others. They are support each others. Discipline support to your devotion. That's where your devotion promote, increase, power for your devotion increase, because you do exactly what this rules, what it says. You do. That's why it has power, right? Like you hold something heavy things with your two hands, then you can pick up this easily. If you move only one finger, other fingers don't support to your one finger, then it's hard to move or pick up something. Similarly, so they support each others.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Yes, Jay?
Sorry, Eleanor. Can I just say as well, sorry, I just want to say briefly, can you still hear me? Sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
very good with Zoom. Sorry.
Oh, no. Don't worry. Yes, please.
Thank you. Sorry, this is my last bit now. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I took Refuge Vow. I have no idea if I've taken Bodhichita Vow, but I took Refuge Vow and Bodhisattva Vow. So I took the Refuge Vow because I guess I wanted to make a commitment in Buddhism, you know, or in faith or truth or Dharma. And then I took Bodhisattva vows, or aspirational Bodhisattva vows because I wanted to help. Well, I probably wanted to help myself too, but I wanted to help other people. And I had a bad experience. It was only a little bit bad, but I didn't want other people to have to experience what I experienced. So I was hoping that it would help somebody someday, maybe. So thank you.
No. Can you repeat? Oh, through Bodhichita, way of Bodhichita. Oh, she will help to some. Oh, that's wonderful. I deeply rejoice that really we all have some powers. We all have some skills, knowledge, experiences. So we can help to others. As I mentioned earlier, if we cannot help others, if we don't harm to others, this is also how to help others, right? That's why this mind, we have to keep. This mind is a really jewel of mind. This mind is a really expensive thing. Because we think, oh, I'm going to help others, or I will help others. This motivation or this mind is very rare to receive in our mind. So be mindful on this motivation. Keep it. You should think this is a really important thing. You have this is you have this motivation is result or fruition of a great karma. If we don't have a great karma, not easily arise kind of this motivation. So Bodhichita is arise from the good mind, good heart, sweet heart. So that's why thank you very much for share us with that. And thank you.
Thank you. I aspire to have Bodhichita. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Billy, can you come here? There's a book. I think I have there this Buddhist vow prayer. The yellow book in under that. Okay, anyone would share something? Not that. There's an orange one. It's still inside. You give me that. Yes. Oh, thank you.
I'll share.
Yes. Oh, I have here. Bodhichita vow. So I will recite for you.
Oh.
Then you understand. So it says, Bodhisattva vows. Yes, it says Bodhisattva vows. And First, there are some prayers, like a refuge prayer. You can do refuge prayer. And then this main thing, when you take refuge vow, at that time you recite this. Just as those gone to bliss in ferment, yes, what is it? In former times, give rise to the mind of enlightened mind and maintained the progressive training of the Bodhisattvas. In a like manner, I, for the benefit of wayfaring beings, give rise to Bodhichita and thus engage progressively in the trainings. So you recite these 3 times when you take by yourself. But then if masters give you, at that time you don't want to recite that, you can follow. After masters say, you repeat, and then master says, this is the method. At that time then you say, excellent. That means then you receive. And also you should think, oh no, I received the Bodhisattva vow. So then there are some dedication and some kind of rejoicing for oneself and rejoicing for others. There are some prayers. But then you can do short dedication too when you take by yourself. If you recite this part, for example, I will do some part. Now my lives will be fruitful, having obtained well a human existence. I have today taken birth in the lineage of the Buddhas and have now become a Bodhisattva, because you take Bodhichita vow, Bodhisattva vow. Then the pledge not to sully the lineage. This says, now whatever I do, I will engage in action that accord with this lineage. I will act so as not to soilly this flawless noble lineage. Then the next, causing others to rejoice is today in the presence of all the protectors, I have called wayfaring beings to realize their enlightened potential. Until then, in order to please beings, I invite them as guests. Thus, you gods, demigods, and all others rejoice. And the main thing is you recite this, we have in the yellow book. May precious Supreme Bodhichita arise in whom it has not been generated. May that which has been generated not decline, but ever further increase. This is a aspiration prayer. Clear? Thank you. Oh yes, Edzi.
I posted, good evening.
Good evening.
I posted the vows that I took years ago, and I took them really, one, just to know how to act right, because you have to present your self right to the public. You have to be respectful of their religions, and you have to be respectful of Buddhism that you're practicing. So that was one reason. I'm just, how do you act respectful? And then the other reason was develop equanimity, because you don't want to fight and argue with your Sangha members. You got to work on that, and that helps you develop equanimity. And I think those are and also it makes you go further down the karmic wheel of life. Like not further down the karmic wheel, helps you get off the karmic wheel of life, go down the path towards enlightenment if you follow these vows. And it helps you, basically, that's it.
To the yeah. Thank you very much, Az, for sharing a great experience. And Bodhichita vow, actually, when last Tuesday, I taught about vows during my teaching series. So if you get time to listen that inside, I taught pretty in detail about vows. So the vow means actually for protect ourselves. Especially Bodhichita vow is there are no different monastics or lay people. There are no different. Especially we all expect to attain Buddhahood. So Bodhichita is extremely important because Bodhichita, there are two words, and Buddha, there is also two words. It's same meaning. Especially we can experience, right now we cannot experience the realization of Buddha, but we can experience Bodhichita, which is in Tibetan called Jangchop actually. Jang means it's purifying. How purifying? For instance, when I project my mind to others, welfare others, or benefit for others, at that time I forget, or I forget myself. When I forget myself, the benefit is getting less sufferings. All the sufferings comes from egoistic mind. I say my headache, I'm hurt, my back, or I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. Everything's related. I created, then my, and then my multiplied. My is multiplied. So recently we have lots of my things, my our things. So it comes from I. That's why I is really resource of all sufferings. So when we generate Bodhichita, it's at that moment we lost the identification of I. We will not identify I at that moment. So then that means we purify grasping. And then in Tibetan words, chup means collect. Collect means what collect? Collect the qualities of Buddhas. Buddha's qualities are compassion, emptiness, selflessness, and then if we go a little higher, lucidity, bliss, non-duality, and primordial wisdom, or this. So then we label them Mahamudra, Dzogchen, whatever. So Bodhichita means that. So we can experience in momentarily that when we arise Bodhichita. Really, this is very helpful. Bodhichita is we can have by oneself. Really, we don't want to search it. We don't want to buy it. We don't want to lend or borrow. So Bodhichita is always in our mind. Then this is, I give you one example. Buddha taught 84,000 different scriptures in 2,500 years ago. But his teachings still benefit to us. Because of his each and every his teachings combine Bodhicitta with Bodhicitta. That's power of that. Now we recite his teachings. It benefits to us. We learn, listening, teaching, meditating. Everything brings benefit. So this is power of Bodhicitta. So this is really important. When you have Bodhicitta in your mind, you automatically relax, peaceful. So there are lots of benefit. In the future, you more focus on Bodhicitta. I think this is really great benefit for oneself. Okay, thank you. Any questions or share some experience? Oh, thank you. Gail?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you.
I do a little mini refuge vow every morning before I meditate. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And, the Bodhisattva vow I've taken, but I can't remember why or how or when. But when we take refuge with Rinpoche, we're doing the refuge vow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that was kind of a big deal for me. When I first came to GBI, it was like February, and then Rinpoche left in March and was gone until, November.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vajrakalaya, they were doing refuge vows, and I didn't take my refuge. I had been studying all summer with Gape Lama, and I didn't take my refuge vows then with Rinpoche, and I waited until that spring. We did a QnA with Rinpoche, which I'll never do again. There were so many people. It was really crowded. It was hot. But anyway, the point is, that's when I did my refuge vows. It was after breakfast one morning, and there were only 7 of us. And it was really awesome. It was amazing. It was just a few of us. And I love when, anytime Rinpoche is doing refuge vows, I love to go listen to him, because he always has a different great teaching related to, and I do the refuge vows then over again every time I have the opportunity. So, so anyway, that's my experience. And I guess I need to do a little mini Bodhisattva vow every morning too. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh, thank you very much. Wonderful. Yes, the refuge vow is foundation of all the vows. So refuge vow also has no different between monastics or lay people. So everybody can take it, and everybody have. If you are monastic, then you must have a refuge vow. Otherwise, it cannot be monastic. And then lay people also same. And the refuge vow is very important. But means when you take refuge vow, Buddha, Dharma. Actually, since that time you have some receive Bodhisattva vow. Because when you take refuge in Dharma, you should say, I will not harm others. So that means since that time we have Bodhisattva vow, but not 100%. The reason is we have to take a Bodhisattva vow particularly, because when we take vows, in Tibetan called toblo, I'm quite not sure in English how to say it. Anyhow, you should think, it's kind of a perception, but you should think, oh, no, I receive, right? No, I receive Bodhisattva vow. No, I receive a refuge vow. No, I receive a Vajrayana vow. So that you have that. But then at the same time, since you are already wake up about Bodhichita, then when you take a refuge vow, you can think, oh, this is today I am taking refuge vow for benefit all mother sentient beings. So this is your Bodhichita. But then you have Bodhichita, but the Bodhichita vow is also a little different, right? But anyhow, so yes, the refuge vow is very, very important since you become Buddhist. And then last Tuesday I taught about vows. At that time I taught refuge vow too. So if you listen that, perhaps there will you get some new information, new informations. Perhaps if you already knows everything, but if it's possible, forget because of time, because of some other jobs, so it will may remember you. So since we have vows, we have to remember something. Or I have that vow, then what I can do and what I cannot do, something like that. Okay, thank you. Anything? Share? Yes, Golly?
Thank you, Khenpo. I took refuge vows online last year. I took them before, but the last time I took them, it was because I have been so inspired by my teachers, by my lamas, who are such incredible Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and uphold the vow so perfectly. So I want to be like them. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. I really rejoice you have, let us say this. Actually, Belly, it's time's up. Oh, sorry. I didn't. Actually, we said that we don't try to make Buddhist. That is one way. That means we respect to other practitioners. Someone who follow other religions, would like to follow other religion, we respect them. That's why we say we don't make Buddhist particularly. Or someone who would like to be freely, that is a non-religion, right? People of non-religion. So we give them freedom. But then come inside of Buddhism, the taking refuge vow is very important. Since you have relation in Buddhist, or you have little experience in Dharma, then especially when you would like to participate Dharma practice, I think you take a refuge vow first, because that refuge vow multiples your virtues. Even you recite single syllable mantra, if you have a refuge vow, it multiples your benefit, your merit. And then you have a Bodhisattva vow, it multiples more than refuge vows. Because Bodhichita, it's like that. If I make one example, if you make a road with the dirt, you bring many dirt and make a road, but there's no cement, right? No cement. And then sometimes rain allows, this road may be crash or some take away because of this dirt. It's dry and then it become muddy and something. But you mixed cement, then this road become very certain. Similarly, you recite single mantra, you combine with the Bodhichita, then this merit, since from today until you become enlightened, you can use that. This merit never ending. It's like a small drop of water pool in the ocean. If ocean never dry, maybe never dry means ocean always remain as long as, and then the drop of water also remain in the ocean. Similarly, your virtues will remain. So Buddha, when, for example, Shakyamuni Buddha who attained Dharmakaya, but still he can benefit through his Nirmanakaya and Sambhogakaya. That means these powers where comes from his Bodhichita. So Bodhichita is Bodhichita helps to certain our virtues, and Bodhichita help to remain our merit endlessly. So this is very important. Every morning every morning when we wake up and we have some practice, self-practice, right? Meditation and recitations. So everywhere we have to generate Bodhichita for a little while. That means then these virtues make pure, clean, and multiple. So there are lots of benefit. Okay. Anything? Oh yes, Jay.
So, Khenpo, can I share something from my perspective on devotion and discipline?
Oh, thank you very much. Excellent. Yes.
So this is strictly mine. This isn't any from any teaching or whatever, or it might be, but I don't. If so, I don't remember what. But for me, devotion with the Western mind had too much of a the connotation just didn't fit with the teachings that I was listening to about it. And so for me in the Western mind, the word that I translate devotion into is confidence. because confidence is it's a knowing. There's a knowingness to confidence, and confidence can be proven. That's one. The second is the discipline one was really hysterical. So the discipline one was because I think in my Western mind, at least, I thought as discipline as, get this done and, da 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 da. And for me, that's not really what discipline is. Discipline is actually just keeping my brain and my mouth and my body all together. Mm-hmm. And the way that it became apparent to me, or it was, that I saw it, was I actually saw myself talking and my brain someplace else. And I had no idea what my body was doing. So all three pieces were totally not synced, working on totally different lanes, doing their own thing. Okay, I'm going to keep going with this because it's hysterical. So what I realized is when I was communicating, because I was talking just like I am now, how hard was it for the person I was trying to communicate with to understand me and to stay with me communicating when I'm flying all over the place. So discipline for me, it is more a sense of just keeping those three pieces together.
Yes, excellent. Actually, this is the same as you said in the Dharma discipline. Is also said that actually it says if you have perfect discipline in your mind, and then your speech discipline remain well. If your speech discipline remain well, and then your body discipline remain well, that's where the importance one is your mind discipline. And so because the mind is like a king, and speech and the body are like ministers. So king orders something to them, and they have no freedom. They have to say something and they have to do something. So actually that's true. The best way to keep discipline is also the mindfulness, right? Mindfulness, we always be mindful. And how to be mindful is, for instance, when I stay in my room by myself and I have plan, okay, I don't want to harsh word with anyone. But then I came with the friends and say something, then suddenly comes up some harsh word and something. So that means I cannot keep well my mindfulness. So that's where mindfulness is like this. Tibetan look far away, they use this. They can't see well, they do that. The mindfulness means always watch, but don't want to watch outside of object, right? Watch inside of object, which is our mind. So, but then as Shanti Deva said, if we become familiar, everything is easy. If we are not familiar, everything is hard. That's where first we think, be mindful is important. Important means we love to do something. And then we do that few times. Sometimes we are fall from these actions, but then we keep going step by step. Then one time we have freedom. So sometimes I also said that when we speak politely and then polite, use some good vocabularies. In Tibetan has a lot. Some speaking for the gurus, some speak for the regular friends, something like that. So when I tried to speak politely, anyone there, no different male and female, no monastic or lay people, try to speak politely, equally. So when I speak with Rinpoche, pretty easy. It comes a little naturally. The polite, right? Polite. But when I speak with other lamas or friend, it's quite hard, really. But then I try to be mindful on there. I be mindful. No, not such a hard to use polite vocabulary. But then thing is, what happened when I speak English? Sometimes I would like to use the polite language, but I can't get this easily, Then sometimes it's like a struck, right? Struck, or I can't speak. It's continuously. Sometimes that happen. But I focused in dictionary and I ask sometimes teachers, my English teachers, about good vocabularies. The before last year, I have an English teacher. We learn a book. Inside it has some story, has the weapons. Somebody's knife, bring knife and it. How to say? This knife. Somebody's body card. In the story has like that. Then I said, "Don't teach me this." It's little funny. I mean, so actually, I don't mean I'm good person, but I like a little bit good vocabularies when we use this language. So anyhow, mindfulness is really. Actually, I said lots of important things, but mindfulness is also very important. It's a help a lot, but of course, still not certain. These due to the less practice on there. Okay, next. Who would like to share or?
I have my hand up if anyone else doesn't want to share.
Yes, Ed, please.
Yeah, I don't know if what I'm going to say is clear, but one thing about that I've noticed about taking refuge is that at first you take refuge, but you really don't understand what it means. And then over the years, I guess my case, you keep practicing and then you understand what it means. It's like you realize, I don't know how to say it more simply, you realize the emptiness of samsara, and when you do that, there's like a turning away from like some samsara, like emotional, and then you really do take refuge. And then a lot of the time when something comes up that, that in the old days you would really get involved with because of anger or one of the kleshas, you kind of like just say, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and then you're able to walk away. Like when people treat you you get ill treatment, you're able to walk away. Just a lot of things. And so it changes over time with practice, with continued practice, to the point where it actually is what it's supposed to be, where you just say, well, samsara, well, there's not anything there. I'm going to die. Everybody I know is going to die. It's all going to, it's empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to waste my time doing this and doing that. I'm just going to practice the Dharma. What else do I have to do? I don't really see. That's all.
Yeah, it's more focus on emptiness, right?
For me, that's what happened.
Uh-huh. Mm. Mhm. Yes, 100% true. That's wonderful. It's really that's really true. The um many masters also said that there's one master who said some vows, bhakti moksha vows. Before we take these vows, we need renunciation, right? But then first they don't have time to learn much about the 4,000 and so on, and then last they increase their realizations and practices, and then their master said, "No, I have this vow purely. I took this vow many years ago, but now I have this vow purely." Some masters said that. So that's why before we take, we have to, for instance, we take a refuge vow. We have 3 responsibilities, right? 3 things we have to know, right? Among them, 2 things are very important, which is number one is we are not going to fear, but we have fear in samsara. So if we have fear, and then first we try to remove this, or we try to escape from this fear. Number 2 is, if we cannot escape from there freely by ourselves, then we ask to somebody. For example, right now I listen your speaking, and I can't hear well. Then I ask Billy, and sometimes Goli, and something like that. So that means first I try to escape from this fear, but I can't. Then I ask to someone who can help this. First I ask to spirit gods, elements gods, but they can't. It does not mean they are bad, but they have no that power. The reason is they are in same situation. That's why then Buddha Dharma has that. That's why this is number 1. Number 2 is then we are going to faith. We already said that. We already talked about the faith, right? Devotion. And then number 3 is then compassion. It is also Bodhichita too. And I'm taking this vow for the sake of Mother Sentient Beings. That is, these 3 things or 2 things are very important when we take a refuge vow. We need this. This is the how to begin to take a refuge vow. But as you said, then we practice more, and then we have some realizations and more uh, we experience wonderful experiences. We can experience the wonderful things. That's where, if I bring simple example, since I was in Gar Monastery, we have to pray some open prayer books and something. I memoried them even though there. I memoried some, and I recite often. And after studied Dharma from different schools and so on, then first only memoried, really, only memoried them. I can read fluently. I passed these examinations. I get some gift, something, but then not studied that books, studied other part of kind of Sutara and Vajrayanas, and then comes back again, read and think. There are wonderful informations, really. I give you one example. In the Maitreya Buddha's prayer, we always recite that. I think that was started since Gar Monastery re-established around 19 something. I don't know when they did. Anyhow, since I was joined there, they recite that, I recite this. But the inside has some words. It's a very letter. I understand that word. What is that? This word is very sweet. You know, Semchi Trimar Jipala means mother sentient beings who has afflictive emotions. Whose mind, mother sentient beings, those mind obscured by afflictive emotions. And Sanje Namne means Buddhas don't criticize that person, but Buddha criticizes that person's afflictive emotions. This is a very, I think, special saying in that prayer. So then the benefit is, if we have that, then seems compassion is automatically arise, can generate, even though that person is almost like our enemies, you know. Oh, right now I noticed this person lost freedom because of his or her afflictive emotions. Then we start to criticize that person's afflictive emotions. And then we teach. Actually, you know, spiritual teachers criticize to students' afflictive emotions. Really. That's where they say angry is bad, jealousy is bad, pride is bad. We have to purify ignorance. We have to purify grasping, something like that. We say, often spiritual masters say that. But we don't criticize that person. So that way, otherwise, if we focus that person's faults, it's very difficult to be patient, very difficult to generate compassion because of the faults. So that's where we have to separate the person and that person's faults. So kind of these, lots of prayers. Also in the Zambala, you know, it says, Tusum tumi gyawa tusum. It says, no past, no present, no future. And then there's one in the Zopa Chimbo, it calls Kada, time of Kada. That means this time is the natural state of mind. When we can sit on the natural state of mind, At that time we called time of Kada, or in Zambala it has Tusum Tumi Gewa. So kind of these words always remain in the book. Always we recite that, but feelings come slowly. So that's where it happened. As you mentioned, this many times happened, but that is a very good happening. Very good happening. And we need like that happening. Right? Okay. Anything? Oh yes, Jay.
Anybody wants to jump in at any time, just because if not, I could talk. So Khenpo, is taking the vows like instead of running away from the fear and the suffering, is it stopping? And that's taking the vows and then turning around?
If you don't first you don't have fear, right?
Right. Because for me, what it feels like is taking the vows were like recognizing that I wanted to stop running from the fear and the suffering. That I was getting nowhere as I was running away from the fear and pushing away the fear and the suffering. Mm-hmm. And so the vows were like stopping and turning around and facing the fears and the suffering.
Oh yes, it's a very good question.
And then the Bodhisattva would be having others, after the walking or towards the fear and the suffering, and recognizing the fear and the suffering and working with the afflictive emotions, mm-hmm. Not away from them anymore, but working with them. Then the Bodhisattva is where there's more people there than just myself, and ultimately where I'm standing with those other people as they are either running or stopping.
Oh yes, there's when we for example, we take a refuge vow. So first conditions are that. Condition means first what we need are these three things, right? But you, for example, one has no fear, and it's okay. If no fear is okay, then second condition is devotion. Devotion is the essential, and then the compassionately can take it. For example, you don't want to come back on the fear. Without fear, it's okay, especially for oneself. Then at that time, there are different. Fear has two parts or two directions. One direction is fear means, directly I'm afraid that. But then the opposite of this is I would liberate from that, right? So we have that part. We need that part. That part is we could have any time, which is you would like to liberate from samsara. So you are not feared directly in samsara, but you would like to liberate. That's where there are two parts. And you are right, the way of Bodhichita, when you take Bodhichita, at that time it seems you come inside of the samsara for the sake of mother thinking beings. But that time also you will not think by yourself liberate from the samsara, right? You think I am taking the Bodhisattva vow to liberate others. Sometimes we can think, oh, mother sentient beings, that is a boundless Bodhisattva, Bodhichita. But sometimes we can see individual like a cat or dog or one living being who are suffering or something. Or I'm taking Bodhisattva vow for the sake of this dog or this cat. That also we can do. It's clear? My understanding is that. Are you clear? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we're still all waiting to hear from Billy.
Oh, yes. That's
I just had one more thing to say that I've noticed over the years. If you don't eventually take refuge properly, or like you see the futility of samsara, the Dharma doesn't stick. You walk away. I've seen a person who had over 26 years of practicing Buddhism, and they just walked away. And when I talked to them, they never took refuge properly. They just found samsara just better.
This question, right? Oh, I see. Yes. No question. Thank you. Yes, Golly.
So she wanted to share that if you don't take refuge, if you take refuge but you don't eventually, like over time, you were saying over time you develop renunciation.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't over time develop renunciation, then what can happen is that you study the Dharma, but you still find samsara more appealing and more attractive, and so you leave the Dharma and you go towards samsara, even though you study for a long time. So the developing like without renunciation, you can't really study Buddhism.
Oh.
Without truly understanding what samsara actually is. If you don't understand that, you don't really take refuge, and you eventually, even if it takes 3 decades, you will walk away.
I think this is there's a way to think. Sometimes we said in the Tibetan poetry, sometimes it the ant, we call ant, they don't have a vest. We say they don't have a vest, right? That means they have a very tiny vest. And sometimes we call it to ladies in the poetry, Tibetan poetry. So that means we say, it says they don't have a vest, but they have. But that means they have very tiny or something. Similarly, if you don't have these 3 kind of conditions, for example, you take refuge vow, I said fear, you need faith, you need compassion. If you don't have, but you take the refuge vow, and after you practice over 20 years, then if sometimes, for example, I or some masters says there's no virtues, then disciples have to understand what meaning of this. This meaning is, if it's compare, after you have vow, refuge vow, then you practice properly refuge vow, and then your practice, and you don't have properly vow, but you have vow, these practices are compared, which has more merit. Then you have properly refuge vow, and properly, right? Proper refuge vow. Then you have more merit. That's we see manifestly, because we experience, then we have some feelings, we have it says something, but it does not mean if you don't have these kind of three things, still you don't have merit, you don't have benefit. If I say that, that is not true. That is not true means cause and effect. When you create it, cause, it has result. So the relation between cause and effects always related each others. So that's why if you plant seed of 3 apples, you will get 3 apples. If you plant seed of 1 apple, you will get 1 apple. Only that is like the. Otherwise, there is a virtue. So we don't think this is very important in the future. You share with your friends sometimes. If you are regret, it's very possible through this way we will regret about our virtue. Oh, until now I practiced something, so it was mistakes. So it seems I made mistakes. That means you are regret virtue. So then the virtue, they reduce your merit. If you are regretting non-virtue, that is a good thing. If you are regretting virtue, that is not good things. That's why I will give you one example. In Tibet, one woman, old man or woman, I forgot, sorry. Then he or her recite, this is just saying, recite the one prayer almost once a whole life. And then there one person come in and listen. That person recite mantras completely, not only mantra, this recitation is completely wrong, kind of wrong way, mistakenly reciting. And then that person, oh, you did this, you don't do that, you made a mistake, something like that, directly said that. And then that person so regret. After he come back to say that to his masters, and his master directly say, go back and say, you are right. You should say you are right. Your recitation is correct. So, and then he went back, and then that person was happy again. So there is a stories. So there are different levels. The Dharma practice has levels, different levels, right? So first levels, especially first capacities, practitioner of lower capacities, we don't want to fix too much to their practice. And then middle capacities, we talk more. Right now we are higher capacities. We all, really. Because we all very easily know, even though it says Bodhichita, you know what's the meaning of Bodhichita. I says empowerment. Almost you notice what is the empowerment. That means you all higher capacities. Kind of your practitioners need lots of, need to learn lots of things. How much you learned, you will receive benefit because you are higher capacities. So there are different capacities. Anyhow, we will not regret virtues. There are benefits Thank you for share. Yes, Eleanor.
Just wanted to bring up a point that, I mean, we're talking about vows and all these different refuges and everything, but and how many years somebody studied Dharma, but I don't think it matters how many years somebody studied Dharma. I think it matters more the experience of the Dharma, not the studying, not the, if you study something for 27 years and you never have an experience of what it is you're studying, of course you're going to walk away.
Uh-huh.
It's learning something from books and lectures, and learning is one thing, experience is something else. And I think it's experience that gets you further to the devotion, which gets you more into the discipline.
Uh-huh.
That's why I was asking about this relationship between devotion and discipline. It's the experience of the Dharma that makes me, anyway, want more. If I didn't have that experience, then all these words are very pretty, but it wouldn't mean anything. It's like tasting food. You can describe the taste or the texture, but until you have the experience of actually tasting that food, you really don't have any idea. You've got some funny concept of it, but that's not knowledge of it. That's just a concept. And I think the Dharma, where I feel anyway, the Dharma works the same way. It's like, it's the experience of it. And that makes it work.
Absolutely. That is a really wonderful. We have, for instance, how to learn. This is very important. And how to experience. This is very important. Actually, that's as you said, that Tibetan Buddhism began since 7th century in Tibet. So this kind of view is continually remain in people's mind. And then many people's mind is, learners, Dharma learners, they have less experience. And who do retreat, they have more experience. This is, it comes in people's mind, almost like traditionally it comes. This is people saying often, even the masters saying about this. Even honestly, I feel that many times since I studied this way. And then I also by myself, I a little bit investigate about that. So thing is, how to learn is number one. How to retreat. When you are learning, only learning for the sake of debate, debate, read something in the book for make famous, and if you only focus there, you're right. Then these dharma still have benefit, even though in dharma practice it says, in the King of Aspiration it says, even though you recite or you hold in the hand this text, still it has a wonderful merit. And then you recite, it has a wonderful merit. And then you concentrate, and then you meditate. Everything has different levels of benefit. But how to learn? For instance, learn about four thoughts. It started from kind of four thoughts, like all the products are impermanence. In the Sutta says that impermanence. Then how much you have felt on impermanence? When you see some precious things, right? So through learning, if you go properly, exactly learning each and every vocabularies or each and every books, and you bring them in your mind. So they say, listeners, your listeners get real result or not. This sign is how much you are harmonious, peaceful. Your speech, your action of body and mind. And then meditators, how much you have less emotions, angry emotion and other emotions. So these two things judges. So that's where, of course, I am just an ordinary person, but I used different lineages of, and somewhere they studied. We all know, right? Right now, we all know. Somewhere less studied practice. Everywhere have a wonderful qualities. Really, someone never does retreat for 7 days. Particularly retreat. They learn from their masters, and their mind is really wonderful. Their Bodhichita is wonderful. Their realization of emptiness is wonderful. Even though I have one guru, right now he went to the some remote place, I heard. Otherwise, he said he did not do retreat. He did not do retreat, but he studied and he become master and he gave teaching. He said he come back from his home to the temple for teaching. Between there, he meditate in order to meditate on emptiness. So then he felt, he steps on the ground. It feels like in the space, it's little funny things. He not say funny things and something. He is such a really, I 100% trust. He is a wonderful master, but something like that. There are lots of these. And then retreaters, of course, they, in Tibet, some retreaters, they close the windows, even though they don't have a door. Their family brings some food, they have a small window through their food inside. And then they eat food inside. So then they gave up the door. It says gave up door. That means they never come out of the door. Such a wonderful retreaters. So both side has wonderful qualities. So we, as you mentioned, this thinking is traditionally we have, but then I investigate a little bit about that things. It seems it's quite hard to say learners has less experience, and of course you will not say that, but I just say it. So retreaters have wonderful experience. That is hard to say 100%. That's what I experienced from the different lineages, masters and practitioners. They all have a wonderful experience. So I think it's depending personal. If we say something, it really depends personal. Someone doing nothing to do retreat, they have wonderful dharma qualities, and then this someone doing retreat, they have a wonderful dharma qualities. So the two people see in my mind, it's hard to judge between these two people. It's both are noble, really noble, wonderful. So the kind of, when I start to say Dharma learners have a less experience and Dharma retreaters have a higher experience, and then these two people appears in the mind, and then quite hard. Oh, what I notice is kind of this and that. They have equally wonderful experiences, but then I don't know many of kind of these practitioners. That's where I think it's quite hard to say this is that. So that's where my main answer or opinion is it is depending how to learning. If they learning about only for worldly activities, then absolutely that is then it has benefit, but not powerful benefit, right? Yes, thank you. Anything? Yes, Golly.
Thank you, Khenpo. I have a question about Bodhichita when it comes to deity yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I sort of remember Rinpoche saying that when the light rays come from the seed syllable and the mantra chain, that those light rays are bodhicitta, and then when if they're making, and then my question was if they're making offerings to the Buddhas, like the light rays make offerings to the Buddhas, do you visualize the offerings, like the 7 auspicious or the 8 auspicious offerings, or whatever offerings? Do you see the light rays turn into offerings and then turn back into light rays and come back, or how does that work?
Yes. This is it is the Vajrayana practice is a very detailed, very subtle, right? So that's where we are going to very deep, and we have to create a lot. I don't know if using these words is okay or not. Usually what we will do is, for instance, we radiate lights, 100,000s of light, but it's not enough yet. If we can, we have to visualize many gaudies, dakinis on each light, has many gaudies, and then they offer like a same like our human being offering to their gurus, like respectfully, and then gurus enjoy, right? With that same, we have to visualize same thing like that, and then we should visualize they comes back. They are, and this light is no different. They are, for example, they are the colors of light, right? So they are not physically exist. These are we appears like they are form of light, and then they comes together with light, and then they dissolve in our some chakras. So that's why we have to. We don't think they are solidly truth, but they are like the moon's reflection in the water. But still, we have to trust that. So we have to visualize like that. Am I correct? I mean, do you think that's your answer, right? Question.
Yes, I understand. And then, so the offering goddesses are sort of reabsorbed into the light, and the light returns to you, right?
Yes, in the we don't particularly, they are dissolved in the light and then light come back. This is if we do, it's okay, but they are, I said, is they are light, like a light colors. That's where they just
Okay.
come together.
Thank you.
You are
That really
welcome.
helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything? We have 6 minutes. 6, right?
We haven't heard from Billy yet.
Oh, yes. Yes, Billy.
I took Refuge and Bodhisattva vows with Rinpoche. And if I had to think about, because I don't really think about it, I just resonated with the aspiration of the vows. I stopped trying to overthink all of these things and just trying to be more simple. And so for me, just the vows, I just resonated with, you know, the aspiration for those vows, and beyond that, you know, I just personally focus more on being a better, kinder, more loving person in the most mundane way, and to serve as best as I can for all beings. I'm just simple.
This is not simple. They're wonderful. Thank you. Yes, we all actually same, really same. It's first we take these vows. It's quite hard to erase these rules and regulations when we take these vows, and then after we know, then we can improve, and when we first the reason we need these kind of experiences are they will help a lot for remain certainly our vows and so on. So says that, but we can, for example, first when I take refuge vow, I have aspiration on that, and then I should promote progress continuously that aspiration, so that will keep my refuge vow continuously, because where we have interesting, it's a help to do that continuously, right? So that's where anyhow we all same, no way to regret. Oh, I don't have that when I take refuge vow. I don't have that when I take Buddhist vow. I don't have that this when I take Vajrayana vow. We don't regret about that if we don't have that. Perhaps we have that, as I mentioned, the renunciation of samsara. It has two parts. Okay, we are not think it or samsara is bad, samsara is ocean of suffering. If we couldn't think about that, but we think other part is, I would like to become Buddha, I would like to become Bodhisattva, I would like to reborn in Pure Land. That we have that. That's where we have renunciation. So, thank you very much. Okay. So, anyone have to say something? We have a few minutes. So, okay. And then we will going to dedicate. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And it's a wonderful uh, uh, sharing your Dharma experience. I deeply rejoice. And then that one thing is what I say, you don't accept directly. For reason I stay here and reason for where I wear the monastic robes. For that reasons you directly, oh, what you say is correct. You don't say like that because you think, oh, he said that, but I think this. So then you little bit meditate on there, and then you will experience, and then oh, I said that this is correct. He said that. Then this is little not 100%, something like that. And then next week or another week, you can tell us. So it also has a great benefit. Okay, thank you very much. And now we will recite 31 prayer. Yeah, Tibetan and English. Ngom sar sonje na wan da ye da yesu jo wo do je jen bo da yon de zhen ba de je do na la san je chang sa ba men gor je gor de je ngom sar ba de me ba ye de wa jin je sha be shen kam de da je de ne zen be je ma da je wa jin je ba ma je ba re de re je ne nan de jan do jo de ge da ge mo lan da ba ye cho ju san je jiang sun tam je je ge min zhe bar sin je la de so da ya da ban zan zhe ya wan bo do na ya so wa.
Emaho. In the center is the wondrous Buddha of boundless light. To his right is Chenrezig, the Lord of great compassion, and to his left is Vajrapani, the Bodhisattva of great might. They are surrounded by an inconceivable assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Immeasurable peace and happiness is the pure land of great bliss. When I and all beings pass from this life, may we be born in that land, unhindered by another samsaric rebirth. And may we then behold the face of Amitabha, boundless light. May all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions bless this aspiration, that it may be accomplished without hindrance. Deyata Panchagriya Awa Bodhaneya Swaha.
Chancho Senjo Rinpoche Ma Che Ba Nam Ji Jur Che Je Ba Nyan Ba Mi Ba Yang Gong Ne Gong Den Be Ba Zhuo.
May Bodhichita, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khenpo. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy.
I can see you better this time. You're
Thank
the
you,
light.
Khenpo.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful good evening.
Say goodbye.
See you next
Oh, yeah.
week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
With more questions.
Yes. Wonderful.